So Kathleen Kennedy had an interview in, what was it? Variety, Vulture, one of these.
Vulture, I think.
Vulture. Okay. And she was talking about the Indiana Jones movies, and she basically said she tried to talk Steven Spielberg and George Lucas in particular out of putting aliens in Indiana Jones 4. She lost, and it seems like she's kind of throwing George under the bus.
It does. It sounds like everybody kept trying to talk him out of doing it, but he wanted to do an alien movie. And Indiana Jones, I remember we went to see it. We're like, what? Indiana Jones and aliens? Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then, Harrison Ford did the Cowboys in Aliens movie too. And it was like also weird. So it's like, I remember people thinking, what is this? And who's this for? But even then, it did better than the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, so I think that's what this is really about. Is she's trying to be like, well, I'm not in dead last place. I'm next to last. My movie, because this was her pet project, right? This Dial of Destiny was supposed to be her.
It took years because and then she was trying to change it, and the rumors were that originally they were going to make it like the goddaughter was going to get handed it, and thankfully apparently they changed that or whatever, but it did not do well. Audiences didn't go to the movie. Now, if I looked at different metrics in this article to see, what ways was it considered weakest, and it is weakest in only one way, and that's audience ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. But critical ratings and actual box office, it wasn't the weakest film.
No, so we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about Kathy trying to deflect blame. I think she's gonna go on a deflection tour. I think after the dust settles, I think she's going to go around and try to defend her legacy. And, well, other people made me do this. Other people made me do that. Willow wasn't my fault. Indiana Jones wasn't my fault.
She hasn't brought up Willow yet, and never mind Star Wars now. The Mandalorian Grogu is after, a month almost. They've only hit 315 million globally in a month for a Star Wars movie.
It's a massive disaster.
Beaten by indie horror films.
Yeah, that... I mean, that's like, speaking of indie, yeah, it's kind of crazy to just see, the mainstream media too is kind of pivoting their opinion on Star Wars. Because I know for years, if you question the numbers, if you question anything about Disney Star Wars, you were a bigot, racist, misogynist, homophobe, whatever. Now they're like, yeah, Disney Star Wars is pretty dead, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, what? Like, you're a little late to the party, but whatever. Anyway, let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
If you'd like more Clownfish TV and more geeky in particular, go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com for more Clownfish TV. And also check out the audio version of Clownfish TV on iTunes, iHeartRadio. Let's see, where else are we at? We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon. We're all over the place. I almost said Netflix. We're not on Netflix yet because I saw the podcast. I'm like, Netflix, we can't be bought. Just saying. So there's a story out on Pirates and Princesses talking about this. And this was it was Steven Spielberg. Yeah, talking to Vulture. They talked to Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, they're talking about because of Disclosure Day. They were talking to different people that have worked with him over the years. They were talking to depending on the movie, like his sister and different different actors and different directors and people that worked with him on different projects. So that's why Kathleen Kennedy was being interviewed for this project.
So they said Crystal Skull was a tough production. This is Kathleen Kennedy. Crystal Skull was a tough production. Steven was struggling with that movie. Harrison was struggling with the movie. They didn't want to do a Raiders movie that involved aliens, and they kind of got into a fight with George about it. Then she completely throws Lucas under the bus, saying Crystal Skull was the weakest. They ended up, all of them, doing what George wanted to do, which was probably the right thing, but Harrison and Steven were not 100% on board. That's why the movie, out of the 4 that Steven made, is the weakest. That's why Harrison was so deeply committed to Destiny. He didn't want that to be the end. But they got a worse ending.
Destiny actually was much weaker as far as audience and money than the other ones. So I actually broke it down on here. So I have on here, Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. It made $354 million back in 1981. And that would be $1.3 billion today. Temple of Doom, $333.1 million in 84, about $1.1 billion today.
Okay.
Last Crusade, $474 million in 89, $128 billion, or what, $1.28 billion. Sorry, it's hard to see on my screen.
Biggest movie ever.
yeah, $1.28 billion. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull made $768.6 million in 2008. which would be over 1.2 billion today. Inflation's getting insane, guys, because the Dial of Destiny made 384 million in 2023, and adjusted for inflation, that's 422.3 million in like 3 years' time. It went up. That's how much inflation is going up. It's insane. But still, it's rock bottom as far as the money on the movies is made.
Yeah, so she's not in any place to talk, and this is her pet project, right? A lot of people thought this thing was going to be canceled. They thought Harrison Ford was way too old. Now they thought he was too old in Crystal Skull, and Crystal Skull basically closed the book on Indiana Jones because they had him get married to Marion, and you know they set it up that Mutt was going to probably be the new Indiana Jones, whatever. But they could have ended it right there. It would have been fine. They could have ended it Last Crusade. It would have been fine. But no, they had to come back for more. And, you know, it actually damaged the franchise, just like bringing Willow back damaged the franchise, just like Kathleen Kennedy being in charge of Star Wars damaged the franchise.
It's like she's saying about it being weak, and I'm like, the weak sauce here is you, KK, because you've ruined everything Lucasfilm had. So that's one metric. One metric as far as box office, Crystal Skull is Crystal Skull's like third place. Dial of Destiny, worst.
Oh, hands down, yeah.
So it's in the middle. If we look at the audience scores, okay, audience and critical scores. So Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, critical score 94, audience score 96. Mm-hmm. Yes. Temple of Doom, critical score 77, audience score 82. Yeah, I didn't like that one as much. Last Crusade, critical score 84, audience score 94. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, critical score 77, so on par with Temple of Doom, audience score 53. And then the Dial of Destiny has a critical score 71 and an audience score of 87. So as far as critical scores go, Dial of Destiny has the lowest. As far as audience scores go, Crystal Skull had the lowest, which I'm not surprised by because it was like, what is this?
Yeah, I remember we went to go see it, and I knew the rumors. This is back before we were like really big into following this stuff, and I knew that there were rumors that they were going to have aliens in it because, you know, the Crystal Skull is tied to alien lore. But I honestly thought they were going to do kind of a twist on that and be like, no, aliens are too far-fetched for Indiana Jones. They'll do something else. The skull means something else or whatever.
That's what I thought too.
But I'm also like, you know, we're also dealing with the Ark of the Covenant, and we're dealing with, you know,
but they were more mystical stuff. Like this was like aliens, you know. It really was. It sounded like he could have done a different movie, you know. Honestly, if you want to do an alien movie, I wouldn't have put it in Indiana Jones. But do I think that the Crystal Skull is probably the weakest Indiana Jones movie? Yeah, but I don't think Dial of Destiny is probably much better. That being said, Kathleen Kennedy has no reason to throw shade at anyone.
No.
Given what Willow was taken off Disney Plus in 6 months.
Yes.
Completely removed. Like gone. You can't get it. It's gone in 6 months. The Star Wars, we got 315 million after a month in the theaters. No one's coming to see Mandalorian and Grogu. And again, that wasn't a bad movie. People don't want it. And that's just what it is. I mean, do I think that Crystal Skull was probably the weakest movie, if we're being honest? Yes. But do I think, I mean, depending on what metric you look at, you could argue it's not. But I don't think she should be the one, you know, those who live in glass houses, KK.
Yeah, I think she's going to do damage control. I really do, because I can see her being the type that she's very concerned about her legacy and whatever. And I can see her pushing back on the Star Wars narrative and being like, well, you know, when I had complete control and it was the Rey show at the beginning, things were fine. And then you know, we started giving like Favreau and Filoni more control, the men, and look what they did, Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah, but the thing is, all these shows and things kept getting, you know, they get scripts like for Obi-Wan canceled by her, creative differences. And then we got the Little Leia show. I guarantee you, I mean, I can't promise this, but I'm saying if I were to bet money, the original script Obi-Wan was not the Little Leia show.
No, it's probably Obi-Wan and little Luke.
Right, and then we have to make it Little
Which
Leia.
makes sense, you know.
She was so, you know, obsessed with, you know, making it her Star Wars and somehow making it about, bringing in the female audience, what they wanted, but it never crossed over. The closest I got was Mandalorian and Grogu, and even then it didn't cross over to the female, you know, female-dominated audience. It never did, because it's a male franchise, and I'm sorry, that does not mean women can't like it. I was always kind of tomboyish, so, I mean, I love Star Wars and stuff. I did, until Disney killed it. But my point is, it's like women always loved it. No one was keeping them out. But it skewed more male, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a fact, and saying it's not, you know, bigoted in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all.
If you think it is, sit and spin. Here's my finger.
She's giving you the finger, audience. You just can't see it. So we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yes.
All right, guys, there we go. KK doing damage control. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.